break. Welcome to Module 5. So the focus here is wrapping up the paper that you have and transitioning to a research proposal. Really, we are a little more focused still on the literature review because this is kind of the modified schedule where we aren't doing the results and method sections. But so I was able to push some of the assignments back from when you look at the description, there's a little bit more of a focus on the research proposal, but we are still thinking about that. So let's look at the readings and resources. So in this module, we are thinking again about research questions. So that comes in about halfway through the module. Um, But we're also still thinking about paper. Your final paper is due at the end of this module, and so we're going back to basics, checking your paper setup. We're also editing the title of your paper to fit with what you ended up talking about, and you're adding an abstract and a few other overview paragraphs. It's also where I want you to start really editing your writing carefully, thinking about not just grammar, but also issues like conciseness, clarity, verb tense, the more detailed, nuanced things about APA style. And there's an abstract guide and a student paper checklist. One thing to be aware of always, oh, it's a PDF. But one thing to always be aware of is, sorry, I'm distracted by thinking of, I don't know if the file I saw is the right one. But be careful because student paper for APA style, yeah, that's not what I was hoping for. Oh, here it is back here. Page that is set up specifically for classes. My issue with that is actually that the whole reason I use APA style, the reason I focus on it so hard, is because it's what's expected in graduate school and out in the real world. And also because I think it's important that as part of college, you learn how to match different formats. I think that's incredibly valuable for the workplace and for other areas of life where you're trying to kind of fit into an existing space. Uh, or even just creating your own formats depending on what your work world looks like. So there's several reasons that I think APA style is important at the undergraduate level. Um, and so to use a different format than what is expected in publication, to me, it kind of weakens some of that. So I do not use this. Also, I don't handle physical paper, so it doesn't really matter to me that you have my name and the class number and the date because Blackboard has all of that. So I think there's more value to this if you're turning in physical papers and let's say my entire, uh, a big gust of wind blows everything off my desk and now I don't know what goes with what class. That's not really a concern here. So either way, the student title page is very misleading. So make sure you're using the professional title page or just use what's in the rubric and you'll be fine. And again, blog stuff, paper format, I think I might have had you look at earlier, but it's a good time to check back and see if there's something you need. Again, if you feel like you're struggling, Writing with Style really is a great resource. I'm not currently requiring it, but I do recommend it, and it's pretty affordable to rent. So if you feel like you're just not getting enough support in the class with all the materials already available, this might be the thing you need to help kind of push you over the edge. Also, if you're really struggling, this could be a great time to do Khan Academy to start working through their grammar course. And remember, if you do at least 95% completion, uh, that's my absolute bottom line. If you do at least 95% completion of the entire course, then you get 20 bonus points, which is a 2% bump in the class. So almost enough to bump you up from, say, a B to a B minus, depending on where your B is. Videos are focusing on, again, the research question and also kind of prepping for the final literature review. All of these, there hasn't been enough changes for me to update the videos based on APA, but there might be small APA errors. in them, but they're all still pretty clear. Also, make sure you do your second tutoring session and complete your reflection for that. And that can be done as early as you want. You don't have to wait until, you don't have to do the tutoring session on Wednesday. You could have done it, in the middle of module two, and it would be fine. Earlier is okay, later is not. And if you have a last minute issue where you can't have a tutoring session, if you have, especially if you have evidence that your tutor canceled on you, I am much more lenient. But if you just say, oh, something came up and I don't have time that I can reschedule my tutoring session because I have a really tight class and work schedule, I'm going to be a little less understanding. I mean, for one, it's only 10 points. It's not enough to, you know, nobody's going to fail the course over just missing their tutoring session. But also, if you have really tight work schedules and a lot of family commitments, then you probably know you need to schedule this a bit early. Um, and if you didn't, it's an unfortunate learning experience. But again, if your tutor cancels on you, let me know. Now, if it's a week or two out, I'm going to say, okay, reschedule. But I will, if it's truly out of your control and you made good faith efforts, we will talk. You're going to continue doing your drafts. Remember, I don't look at drafts. Your peers look at drafts. The Writing Center looks at drafts. Or you can book office hours. So you'll do just your literature review, kind of the main paragraphs with your headings where you're using citations. And then again, you'll do your full paper in a draft. And these are fairly high points, particularly this 20, and I think somewhere else there might have been a 25 point. Yeah, for the discussion peer review. Not sure why that one's 25 and this one's 15. I might balance those out at some point. And you'll notice some of the points on this will sort of shift a little over time. If you see some old videos, there might be slightly different point values as I just kind of add and move around and try to make things consistent. What else? Yeah, your final paper. Reminder, if you would like an in-person review, mi- schedule it as soon as possible. I will probably, if you're watching this on Sunday or Monday of this week of the module 5 week, then I'm probably closing out my schedule real soon. So do that as quickly as possible. If the times don't work at all for you, send me an email. Let me know. Suggest 2 or 3 times or more. Different days and times is best. Some evenings are available, but the earlier you let me know, the better. And especially if you give me a few evenings to choose from. What else? If you these meetings are not to help you with the paper. These are to give feedback on the paper, which includes grading. They're I I really enjoy them. They're one of my favorite things to do in this class. Students often don't feel super excited walking into them, but do say that they're really helpful and not as scary as they thought. Just like I do, well, if you're online, you probably haven't noticed this, but for class, just like when I give feedback, I'm very careful to balance praise and constructive criticism and to avoid shaming as part of mistakes that are made. I do the same thing in the grading. If you don't meet with me, typically what I do is I record a video because I can just give so much more feedback on a video because I can talk faster than I can write. So in a 20 or 30 minute grading stretch, I can give a lot more feedback. And typically, I've already looked very carefully at your outlines. I've looked at your article notes. I've seen this material several times by the time it gets to me in the final paper. Also, it's important the research question is an iterative process. That means that we go back and forth and we revise because I need to make sure that it works for the purposes of that paper. Now, that's going to get a lot more intense when I go back to including the methods and results because you'll have to be able to ask a question that fits with those pieces. But even for this, I still want it to be clear. I want it to be logical. I want it to be scientific. And I want it to feel like a fairly logical conclusion from your literature review. It doesn't have to touch on every topic from your lit review. Normally, when you're writing a research proposal, you would start with your research question. So you would make sure that you have one that fits really well. Um, or I'm sorry, you would make sure that your literature review all kind of led up logically to the research question. In this case, we just need to have it connect clearly. And as a reminder, some people have gotten confused in the past. Your research question should be on the same topic as your literature review. It really should be kind of a logical fit with that. Uh, what else? I think that might be all for this week. Again, the research question, expect that it's going to go back and forth once or twice. That's why it's due as early as it is. It's unfortunate that I'm asking you to think forward to the research proposal while you're still wrapping up the lit review. But this process takes time, and you need to have a fully answered, you have to have your research question in order to do your present study outline that's due next in the middle of the next module. I think for the in person class, I might have been able to stack it so that the research question is separate, but probably not because it's just really hard to start with to not be able to move on to the research question. I'm sorry, to the present study outline as soon as we're done with grading the first paper. All right. One last thing, it's really helpful if you give me something I can make comments in for your final paper. So if all you do is upload a PDF, you're going to get a lot fewer changes made. But if you give me a Word document or ideally a Google Doc, if you work in Google Docs, share that Google Doc with me. Because the beauty is I can make comments in there, but I can also make some changes. Like I can just fix some things for you and you can see how I fixed it. And then you'll have that change there because this paper, this lit review paper, serves as the foundation for the research proposal that you're going to do next. All right. So this marks the last week we focus on the first big paper of the class. The following module, we're going to switch our focus to the research proposal. All right, it's a big week, but honestly, students find that this week goes a little easier than the last few because you've already drafted everything. You've already got everything planned. And so this week, which students expect would be the really super stressful week, uh, this module is actually a little bit, things start to be more smooth sailing for most students if you've kept up. It's usually module 3 and 4 that are really the pinch. So hopefully that holds true for you. Good luck, take care, happy writing. Bye bye.